Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today I'm going to talk about the preparations that Russia is making to attack, specifically war preparations. If Russia is, falling apart, they don't have any money, they don't have a military, then we pretty much don't have to worry about them coming and attacking America. On the other hand, if they have plenty of money, and they do, if they have built up their military, and they have, if they are openly boasting that they have some very, very powerful weapons, I think that we would be a fool to ignore that. And I also think it's interesting, I always see this, how people from, all over, all of you folks that follow Prophecy Club, thank you very much for sending me articles and information to askstan at prophecyclub.com. askstan at prophecyclub.com. I cannot tell you how many times I start getting articles and all of a sudden they pour in from all directions and they're all on the same topic. Well, at that point it becomes pretty easy. Oh, that's the topic I need to be talking about today. Well, that's the topic today, Russia and her war preparations. I'm saying that Russia is not only preparing for war, I would say that Russia is ready for war, and she's egging on the world, specifically America. She's basically saying, I got you. She's basically saying, I'm the big boy in the block now, and if you mess with me, I'm going to punch your lights out. That's what he's really saying. dailymail.co.uk, headline, Putin orders 2 more Doomsday planes that would allow him to control Russian forces during a nuclear war. So it goes on to say that they have a flying Kremlin command aircraft that is going to be replacing the old ones, and it will allow the Russian leader to control troops and missiles during an atomic catastrophe, or specifically a war. The planes designed for the president or top military security in the event of a nuclear war. The aircraft are accompanied by fighters and can be refueled in midair. The aircraft's radio is very complex, and it goes, in other words, it's basically a flying war central. Next headline, Vladimir Putin boasts he can hit enemies with an unstoppable force. The flight ranges of this new missile will double compared with the existing Doomsday aircraft. And he's still talking about the new aircraft, and he's talking about how wonderful it is. Next headline, I got a lot of them today. Putin brags of hypersonic nukes that can, quote, locate any enemy and inflict inevitable strike. A ZM-22 Zircon hypersonic missile launches from the Russian Navy frigate, and it gives the name there. Russian president boasts that Russia's nuclear-capable hypersonic weapons during a large-scale parade for the Russian Navy. Putin said, quote, Russia, in the shortest time possible, took its rightful place among the leading maritime powers. What did he just say? He just said that Russia, in a very short time, has now become the leading military force on the planet. That's what he really said. I'll read it again. Russia, in the shortest time possible, took its rightful place among the leading maritime powers, went through a colossal path of development from a modest Petrovsky boat to powerful ships of the ocean zone and nuclear-powered missile submarines, acquired effective long-range and short-range naval aviation, reliable coastal defense systems, and the latest, listen to this, hypersonic, high-precision weapon systems that still have no analogs in the world. Now, what? We understand digital, we understand analog, but that's not what he's saying. He said that no one in the world has the capability like we have. We're number one. That's what he's saying, which are constantly and successfully improving. Today, the Russian Navy has everything it needs to guarantee the protection of our native country. What did he say again? He just said today the Russian Navy has everything it needs to destroy America or anybody else it wants to destroy. In our national interests, we are able to detect, listen carefully, any underwater, surface, air enemy and inflict an inevitable strike on him if necessary. I'll read that again. We are able to detect any underwater, surface, air enemy. In other words, nobody can get away from these guys. They know where everything is under the water, on the surface, on the land, in the air, any place on the globe. Well, what does that sound like? If you listen to the 3 broadcasts last week on scalar wave, that's scalar wave. Scalar wave can monitor anything on the planet, under the planet, above the planet, and it can take it out if it wants to, or it can act like a big umbrella over a city or an entire nation. Let's go on with the article. Putin's praise for Russia's hypersonic weapons, in which he said, quote, have no analogs, came last week after the Russian Navy completed the latest test of its hypersonic Zircon missile, which the Russian military said reached, listen to this, 7 times the speed of sound. And the fastest one that the Americans can muster is only 5 times the speed of sound. It goes on to say that this 3M-22 Zircon missile, Zircon, is a scramjet-powered anti-ship hypersonic cruise missile that Russia intends to reach Mach 9 speed. So right now it's 7 times the speed of sound, which is about 5,370 miles an hour. But they're going to speed it on up to 9 times the speed of sound, which is almost 7,000 miles an hour. What does that mean? It means that nothing can touch it. It means it goes by so fast, you can't shoot it down. Next article. And I've got a lot of them. All of them here in the last, I'd say, 48 hours. Putin says Russian Navy can carry out a, quote, unpreventable strike if needed. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, isn't this the same article talking about the same thing? Well, yes, it is, but it points out different things. Watch. The Russian Navy can now detect any enemy and launch an unpreventable strike if needed, said President Vladimir Putin on Sunday. So he's saying the same thing. However, here's the new thing. We are capable of detecting any underwater, above water, airborne enemy and, if required, carry out an unpreventable strike against. Okay, he said the same thing, but did he say the same thing? No, he didn't. He said an unpreventable strike. Not only can they detect anything in the water, on the land, in the air above, but he also just said they can take it out and no one can stop them. Let me remind you, the angel that spoke to Dmitri said the fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists, and I think that that's the whole 2020 election thing. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 hour, so great riches will come to naught. Russia says its air defense systems in Syria intercepted Israeli missiles. Now, why is that important? Let me go back and refresh your memory. You remember January 22, 2006, the Lord spoke to Leslie audibly and said, Israel refuses help to America. That was an audible voice. Then he gave her the next 6 headlines spoken to her in her heart. And they were, and this is the order that she got them, Israel refuses help to America, catastrophe hits America, Omar ushers in Palestinian state, one of America's greatest times of need, Israel has attacked America, sends troops, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting Dmitri, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. How does that relate? In my opinion, I believe this is the way it will happen, the order they will happen. Omar ushers in Palestinian state. Okay, so right now there's a whole lot of conflict between Israel and the Palestinian state. Well, it may very well be in the next year or so that they work out some kind of a compromise, and Omer, I don't know what Omer is, we still don't know, but that's going to be a newspaper headline, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. So there will be a Palestinian state. And number 2 is going to be catastrophe hits America. That's probably the earthquake. You remember Shane Warren said, you divided my land, now I will divide your land. And that's the big earthquake up the center of America. You remember that Ephraim Rodriguez, back in February 2014, was shown a vision of a large meteor hitting Mona Island just west of Puerto Rico, causing a tsunami 1,000 foot high at Puerto Rico. But When it went up the eastern seaboard, it was anywhere from 200 to 400 foot high and went inland, destroying everything 20 to 100 miles inland. But where it hit was an earthquake fault, which ran up the Mississippi River Valley, splitting the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, and much of the West Coast from California all the way up into Alaska fell into the ocean. Fits, doesn't it? Okay, so I can see that the Palestinian state is given, and then God says, okay, America, you split my land, now I'm going to split your land, and then the catastrophe hits. Then America is devastated. So the next headline is one of America's greatest times of need. So America says, hey, we need your help to all the world. But Israel refuses help to America. Our closest ally won't help. Why? Because we just stabbed him in the back. 5, Israel has attacked America, sends troops. Well, there it is. Now let me go back to the article today. It says Russia says its air defense systems in Syria intercepted Israeli missiles, meaning that already Israel and Russia are in kind of a de facto conflict. We have seen Russia move into Syria and involve itself in Syria and Israel, just like would have to happen if the prophecies are accurate. Now let me go on with the article. Hezbollah Iranian commanders reported killed in Israeli strikes. Russian military official says 7 of 8 Israeli missiles struck down this week. So it's saying that Russia is now shooting down Israeli missiles aimed at Syria. The Russian anti-craft artillery systems in Syria intercepted a number of missiles launched by Israel in airstrikes this week heading toward Syria. In addition, Syrian media reported 2 Israeli attacks this past week on Monday night. So we're getting real close to a war involving Russia, Syria, and Israel, just like the prophecy would say. Next headline. Russia, quote, exasperated with ongoing Israel attacks against Syria, July 24th. So Russia is basically saying Russia is running out of patience. They're getting tired of all of this conflict between the Palestinians and Israel. It says Russia has, quote, run out of patience with Israel and Syria and is shifting, listen carefully, shifting its policies toward Israeli sorties over the country, according to an unconfirmed report on Saturday. The London-based Arabic newspaper says that well-informed sources are now saying that talks with Washington and Moscow had got the impression that Washington does not welcome the continuous Israeli raids. Thus, it believes that the freedom to act more aggressively to thwart them. In other words, basically America is not supporting Israel so much anymore, so the Russians are stepping in and attacking Israel more and tracking and things like that. All of it is heading towards these prophecies being fulfilled. I'd like to think that America has another 40 years before Russia attacks. But based upon what the news is saying, it doesn't look so. It looks like in a year or 2 or 3, maybe 5 years, not long. Video. Russia test fires S-500 at Yar missile range. Russia has just released a video of a test firing of the new S-500 missile system. Yes, this is a different one. The S-500 is said to be the absolute finest air defense system anywhere on the planet. The S-500 Prometry, also known as 55R6M, is a Russian surface-to-air missile or anti-ballistic missile system intended to replace the old one. It is unrivaled by any other similar system in the world. So this is a different missile system that Russia is saying nobody can stop it, nobody has anything like it, we can take you out anytime we want to. They're openly saying this. Try to imagine if the bully on the block is openly saying, I can beat you up. Kind of like Goliath was saying in front of the Israelites, and of course God sent David down and showed him he was wrong. But in this case, Russia is preparing for war. The S-500 is a new generation surface-to-air missile system. It's designed for intercepting and destroying intercontinental ballistic missiles, that's what America would use, as well as hypersonic cruise missiles and aircraft, that also is what America would use, for air defense against airborne early warning and control for jamming aircraft. with a planned range of some 370 miles. Now, 370 miles. It hasn't said this one goes Mach 7, but it is about to say it goes Mach 5. So 5 times the speed of sound. How long does it take to go 370 miles? The answer is not very long. In other words, this is one deadly system. With a planned range of 370 miles for anti-ballistic purposes, would be able to detect. This is a missile that detects and simultaneously engages up to 10 ballistic hypersonic targets, flying at a speed of 5 kilometers per second. It also aims to destroy hypersonic cruise missiles and other aerial targets at speeds of higher than Mach 5. So what they're saying is, America, we got you. We can not only shoot down anything and everything you have, but you can't shoot down ours. We got you. You're done. Headline: From ports to rail yards, global supply lines struggle amid virus outbreaks in the developing world. So the conspiracy, the Moloch and the Baal worshippers, are shutting down our global supply lines, not just America's, but around the world. Next headline: Russia unveils its new, quote, checkmate single-engine fighter jet. Russia state aircraft manufacturer has unveiled a prototype of a new 5th-generation fighter jet at the International Space Show. The new Sukhoi fighter jet, dubbed Checkmate, features stealth capabilities and other advanced characteristics, and it is likely to be touted as a rival to the U.S. F-35 stealth fighter. In other words, once again, Russia is, in so many words, saying, we got you. We can outdo your stealth characteristics. It is a 5th-generation fighter jet with stealth characteristics, cruise at supersonic speed, among other advanced features. It is claimed that the fighter can fly at a speed of 1.8 to 2 times the speed of sound, with a range of 1,864 miles. You remember the Samson option? You remember this is where Samson's had his eyes put out, and so they took him down to the pillars of the Temple of Dagon, and he split the pillars, and all of the big heavy rocks fell down and killed all of the prophets of Dagon. And, of course, the conspiracy then came up with a Samson option. Samson option is, if they see that they're going to be killed, like Samson did to the prophets of Dagon, that they will pull out the Samson option. What is the Samson option? You recall that Benjamin Fulford said in one of his articles 6 months ago that he got a message from the Moloch and the Baal worshippers, the conspiracy, the deep state, the international bankers, the Khazarian mafia, whatever you want to call them, saying, we have ruled this planet for thousands of years, and we will continue to rule it, or we'll destroy it. Now, we want to believe that destroying it is something like 35 some suitcase nukes. But what if it's not? What if it doesn't just stop there? What if they control Russia? And they probably do. What if they control all of these high-tech weapons? What if they know and are planning to take out America totally as a nation? Next headline: Radiation reaches USA from leaking China nuclear power plant. This comes to us from HalTurnerRadioShow.com, July 27th. Radiation leaking for weeks from a nuclear power plant in China has apparently reached the United States. Radiation levels are spiking in the U.S. There is nothing that I have seen that specifically says that this is radiation from China. In light of the some 35 suitcase nukes that are supposed to be secreted all across America, my guess is that this radiation is not coming from China. My guess is that this radiation is coming from the 35 suitcase nukes that were brought in back into the 1980s, talked about in 1998 by Stanislav Lunev on the Prophecy Club DVD, Russian Defector Warns America, which you can watch instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. And it's probably because they're pulling them out, dusting them off, recharging them, firing them up, and getting them ready to go in case all of the massive arrests really do take place. In case the military really does start rounding these people up and start serving up justice. My guess is the massive arrests will take place, and the Samson option, which is probably the second snake bite, is probably going to take place. Next article. Biden telegraphs the next war. July 27th. This comes to us from a guy called Praying Medic. Some of you know him. In a press conference today, Joe Biden mentioned the increasing disruption that ransomware attacks are causing, and then implied that they will lead to war with a major power. I believe that these ransomware attacks, I believe they're being blamed on the Russians, but I don't think that the Russians, I think it's the Moloch and the Baal worshippers, the Khazari Mafia, the international bankers, the deep state, these people that want to own and control the whole world, and they're threatening. This is blackmail. This is what they do. You do it my way or I'll kill you. Basically, that's what they're saying. You do it my way or I'll tell your wife that you did all this. You do it this way or I'll put your name in the paper. I'll ruin your business. Blackmail. Threats. That's how they live. I'll read it again. In a press conference today, Joe Biden mentioned the increasing disruption that ransomware attacks are causing, and then implied that they will lead to a war with a major power. Biden just threatened Russia with war. It seems like Biden suggested that greater disruptions are coming, perhaps disruptions to the internet, which many people believe will happen as the information war deepens. He then mentioned the word war. He says, now, if you followed this one guy that's a letter, and it looks similar to an O, but it's not an O. I can't say the letter. You may remember seeing posts about plans for global domination ending with the signature, sum of all fears. Well, the phrase, sum of all fears, refers to a Tom Clancy novel in which a psychopath planned to create a socialist superstate by triggering a limited nuclear war between U.S. and Russia. He suggested that the film revealed, allegorically, the real goal of the world's elites. During his 8 years in office, Barack Obama set the stage for the future war. Hillary Clinton was supposed to finish preparation and then allow the war to begin, but DJT stepped in through his election in 2016 and interrupted the plan. Now it appears, here it is, listen carefully. Now it appears as if the plan to destroy America and the free world is once again operational. As the elites rush to bring their plan to fruition, patriotic Americans are compiling information that may prove JB, that's all I could say, is an illegitimate leader. I can't say that word. Both sides are working different goals, but only one will win. If auditors manage to prove election cheating, and if JB can be removed from office, the plan for war may once again be mothballed. Please keep this situation in prayer. And I will absolutely positively say, if America is going to continue, we must be praying. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. We only have 55 people signed up for the Solemn September Assembly. Frankly, that's not enough. And I'm not talking about from our point of view. I'm talking about we need more people fasting and praying for our nation. We really need around 500 people. So here's what we're going to do. The shofar blows at sundown precisely at 7:44 September the 6th, which is a Monday evening. And then we set up a mic. You have up to, but no more than, 5 minutes to pray. You can always go back to the end of the line, but we limit the prayers to 5 minutes. And the other two, Solemn September and the Solemn October assemblies, it went awesome. We had 460 people at the Solemn September, and we had 160 people at the Solemn October assemblies. And I mean, we saw people get up there and pray. I mean, they absolutely reached the throne of God. And of course, you being in the room, as you're listening, you can pray along with them. We'll also have overhead prayers, so you can pray along with them, or you can pray separately. But the point is, the Bible says one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. So we need to remove the evil over America. That's the reason I believe the devil came to me, 3 nights ago, and offered $1 million, basically if I would fall, if I would compromise, and I turned to him and said no. I mean, I already covered that, so I won't cover all the details, but I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to use the blood of Jesus by the power of Christ to destroy you and your kingdom every way I possibly can. So I'm calling you. If you believe in Dimitri, if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in all of these warnings, if you understand that America is in trouble, then your nation needs you. Yes, I know. You'll probably have to take off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You can fly in Monday morning. You can fly back home Wednesday evening. You can be back to work next morning Thursday. So it's probably taking 3 days off, and it's probably going to involve a drive or an airfare for most of you. And, of course, some other expenses. But you won't have any food expenses because we're fasting. Anyway, I'm calling him. If you believe in Dimitri's message, if you believe that Coverstone is hearing from God, if you believe all these warnings are true and accurate from God, then your nation needs you. Go to watchmanstrumpet.com and get signed up. Watchmanstrumpet.com, get signed up. Solemn September Assembly, September 6th to 8th. Well, Stan, can't you do it on a weekend? No, I can't. It has to be on the Feast of Trumpets. That's the Gentiles' feast. That's the day that the tribulation starts, and that's the day also that Jesus returns. That is the day of battle. Blowing the shofar is a declaration of war, and that's what we're doing. Because Jesus gave us all power over serpents and scorpions and all of the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt us. So we're using that power to lock arms, to agree in prayer. If you abide in me, my words abide in you, you can ask what you will, it'll be given. Wherever two or more agree is touching any one thing, where two or more gather in my name, there I am in the midst of them. We're going to use those verses, and we're going to take back this nation, because probably by September the 6th, as you recall, Michael and Dale said that DJT would be back in charge by the end of August. So probably by the end of August, we're going to be in the throes of an internal revolution, and our nation is going to be needing us to pray, my brothers and sisters. I need you. America needs you. I'm calling you. Please come. Watchmanstrumpet.com. Go to watchmanstrumpet.com. Go to watchmanstrumpet.com. And by the way, I might also add, there are expenses, and $25 obviously is not covering the expenses. So if God has blessed you, and if you can help us, now would be a really good time for your help. Yes, we could really use your help for the Solemn September Assembly, and also it's summertime. I don't know why, but every summer our mailbox just fills up with concrete, and very few donations come in. So if God's blessed you, you could help us with this meeting, help us with other things. It would be very, very much appreciated. Watchmanstrumpet.com. Blow the trumpet, 7:44, the shofar, no man-made instruments, got to be a shofar. Monday evening, 7:44 p.m., and then Thursday evening to conclude at 7:42 p.m., we blow 7 long, loud blasts declaring war on and victory over the devil through the blood and power of Jesus Christ. Watchmanstrumpet.com. 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 If you want your computer chips in your car to continue to work after the suitcase nukes go off, we will send you to empshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY. If you'd like to have food to eat when you are locked up in your house and you can't get out, we send you to heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. If you feel like you need to have gold and silver and precious metals, we send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Just mention Prophecy Club. cornerstoneassetmetals.com. empshield.com, promo code PROPHECY. heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. cornerstoneassetmetals.com, Prophecy Club. In 2017, God blessed me by helping me to memorize the book of Revelation. God showed me a secret door, which is based upon a single word found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. When linked, a person enters into an understanding of Bible prophecy not previously known. Even though I've been in the world of Bible prophecy for 40 years, frankly, I did not know anything of what is in this book. One prophetic word described it this way: there is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn so many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. 2 amazing prophecy charts on the back flap, 12 inches by 9 inches. Imagine a book on prophecy that brings a fresh, new, accurate perspective. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for $20, but don't do that. 5 for $35 or 10 for $60. That's 1 for $20, 5 for $35, or 10 for $60 at prophecyclub.com. click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.